What is going on, y'all? I am here with my friend Jew, also goes by Judy.
That's
He
good.
he is a musician. He is reigning and originally from Chicago, lives in New York City, and he is causing an uproar across the country with his musical aspirations and everything. Uh, so, welcome, Jew. I just wanted to talk to you about a couple things. I know that we are at a point in time where a lot of people are taking their crafts and their passions and they're making it into something bigger, and they're doing a lot of different things with that talent. So, one, I wanted to talk to you about ultimately what you do. A couple of other things are where you drive your passion from, how you got started, how you're feeling with everything going on, and how you kind of want to grow from the future and any tips that you have in the future. So, if you could give more so an overview of your upbringing and where you are and everything, love it.
All right, for real. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here. I can start off with how I got started in music. I'm from Chicago. I went to Morehouse. I graduated in 2016. I had a job lined up in New York that started like that July. But in between May and July, I was in Chicago. And a lot of my closest friends growing up always were into music and making music and whatnot. So like when I got back to Chicago, my one of my closest homies was in the studio, so I was just going there to meet him every day. And then we were freestyling in the studio every day. And then eventually one day they were like, "Okay, well you got to get in the booth." And then that's how I first started like rapping. Then I ended up making a mixtape like in that time, put it on SoundCloud or whatever. Then I went and I just started working full time. And when I was in New York, I didn't have anybody to like make beats for me or any studio to go to. So I just kind of stopped. But I was always still in my mind like coming up with like new ideas for music. So after about a year of like not doing it, I told my homie like, "Yo, I'm about to go like buy like the software I need to like make beats. I just teach myself how to make beats and like build the studio in my room." Um, so then from that point to now, I've been teaching myself about all different production methods, making songs. Um, I put a few out. I did release a collaborative mixtape with the same homie that convinced me to get in the booth to begin with, and now I'm working on my debut project. Uh, it's been about it's been a few years in the making, I guess, if you consider the whole scope of things. But yeah, so fast forward to this year when the coronavirus started popping off in New York. I was seeing like the grocery store by my house was like empty as hell. Then my mom called me and she was like, "I got a flight voucher. My office. I still work like 9 to 5 or whatever. So I'm really working on music like from like 6 until whatever. Like I stay up super late. Um, but she was like, "You can come home. I have like a flight voucher for you if you want to during this time where you don't have to go to work, where you can work from home." And I was like, "All right, bet I can go there. I'll be able to collaborate with my niggas in Chicago, and I'll be straight." And then this was like kickstart like me finishing this project. And then as soon as I get here, it was like lockdown. Like all that is over with. So the first challenge of the quarantine and uh, being creative on quarantine was finding ways to like link and have sessions with people without physically being in the same room as them. And that's when I started doing like these Zoom sessions with a
Those
couple
are
different of my homies.
right there. There's something you mentioned really like that's an overlying theme is kind of that urge to kind of do more even if you're not in the position to do it. Like a lot of times you were making music for ongoing throughout the years, whether it be writing stuff down, freestyling, making different projects, but even when you were at a standstill, your mind was still racing. And I
Yeah.
think that that's like really that's a big thing that a lot of people don't do. Like when I'm in a creative block, I like stop working. But in your head, you just keep like saying, I'm gonna get back into the studio, I'm gonna get back to making music, I'm gonna keep coming back to it. That ultimately you were very proactive in making that happen, where you essentially all the equipment you needed, you brought it in to you and you started making that come to life too. So I guess the big question I have right now is where do you drive your inspiration from? How do you, I know that you constantly have that reminder that you need to get started, but what triggers you to ultimately just go out and make all those purchases?
Yeah, like inspiration is exactly like what it was. Like it wasn't necessarily that I was always thinking like, "Oh, I'm gonna get back to the studio." Like I was focused on my job at that point when I first got there. But it was like I was continually inspired by things, like just walking like the transit to and from work, the music I was listening to, the things I was doing. I was just continue to get inspired to write and for different beats. So that's what really drove me. It's like, yo, I gotta like, I started like keeping it in my phone, not knowing what I was gonna do with it. And then one day I realized like I just need to make my own beats.
Yeah.
And yeah, now is that's one of the biggest difficulties now is finding inspiration, especially when I'm trapped in the house most of the time.
Yeah.
But I've like found ways. There's been times during this quarantine where it's like I've had a few days to a week of like not being productive, and I was like, yeah, and it's like that's like at work creativity, just because I was just trapped in here for too long. So once I started getting out of the house more, like getting more sun, um, that really boosted my productivity, and also getting out of the house, like the inspirations will come back to you.
Sounds like a lot of that is driven from positivity. And you have that routine where you have a good job, you're doing everything that you need to do, and that kind of inspires you on a day to day. But climate of what's going on with the pandemic, the climate of being stuck inside, not being able to go. There's a lot of stuff that really puts that on pause. So it's pretty interesting that you said that you just go outside more and like do the little small activities that would essentially drive that inspiration and get you to keep going and to keep building off that project as well.
Yeah, it's surely been difficult, man. Like even like, but like at every point like of adversity I've had, like so first I couldn't link with my homies. Then I started setting up Zoom sessions with them where I could like share my screen of what I'm doing. Like we could work together on a beat and then they could even record. Then that slowly became like now I'm starting up like a Twitch show where like I can Twitch with my homie and we'll show people exactly like how we're making our music. And we can also like take breaks in between and just show them like some dope other music shit that we know from like the past. Um, Another thing that happened to me during quarantine is that I spilled on my laptop in the middle of making the project. And I had like some of my shit backed up, but a lot of the shit I had made wasn't. So I lost all that shit. I had to recreate a lot of it. Out of that, like I got a new laptop, like which I needed forever. And like also just forced me to like I thought I was almost done with my project and forced me to make like 20 more songs. And like a lot of those songs are now like the best shit on a project. So like every like time I've been met with adversity, I've just like accepted it, embraced it. Thank God for the adversity because that's how you get better, you know.
Yeah.
And I've come out better on the other side of it.
Yeah, your struggle brings strength. I see it like every day. I didn't even know about your laptop with everything spilling on it too. So
Yeah.
really,
I didn't really feel like talking about it when it happened. I was like,
I wouldn't either. That project just wouldn't have come out if it was on my end. So that's awesome. That's awesome that you kept doing that. Um, Another thing I want to really talk to you about is everything that's going on. We see a lot of stuff that's going on, whether it's protests, riots, people looting. Everything is interesting. I have the lens of what's going on from the Los Angeles standpoint and my friends in New York, friends in DC. But one, how is everything over in your area over in Chicago? And then also, how are you feeling about it? And has that affected your overall work that you do?
yeah. The shit is OC over here. It's been wild. The police are their violence has only escalated from the beginning, and it seems to escalate on a daily basis. I'll say that when it first happened, when like the Ahmaud Arbery thing happened, and then the Breonna Taylor, and then the George Floyd, I mean, and then people started protesting. My initial reaction was like, "Yo, we did this 5 years ago. They made these same promises 5 years ago. All these people said the same shit 5 years ago, and nothing changed."
Right.
So now it's like, you know, it was hard for me because I was just despondent to it because I was like, yo, like the nonviolent protests don't work. The violent protest is like a dangerous ass path for us to take because like how violent can you get with the United States military? Like they just gonna up the violence more.
Right.
So it's just like what options do we really have? But then like the persistence of it like kind of weighed on me and like got me back into like that mode that I was in before. And like obviously like I'm very aware of like the issues and shit. So I got back out to protesting yesterday for the first time. I might go back out today after we get off this call. But yeah, man, the shit is rough. We both know what it is. It's nice. I have like a lot more white friends that are allies like this time around. Like I think they always like saw themselves as allies, but they've been a lot more active, like actually out there in the streets and shit. Yeah, I don't know. I can't say that I'm like super confident that change is gonna come, but it is nice that niggas don't have to go to work, so we can actually make like a big ass statement about this.
Yeah,
And,
positive.
like
Yeah.
I said, I don't feel like working every day. Like I'm consumed with this shit now, and it is a tolling thing. I haven't really worked on music in the past few days, even though I really need to. So my production at my regular job has been down. So yeah.
I was even thinking, like, you mentioned a lot of stuff that's fueling the fire, and it's hopelessness that really sucks. I know for me personally, I can't get stuff done as I used to, but that hopelessness is that willpower for me to continue to try to drive that car with the empty tank. It sounds
Yeah,
like
like,
for you
I'm
too.
tired, but I'm not tired out. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I
like
got a little bit left.
that's awesome, man. Like it's just really one of those things where it sucks to be in this climate, but a lot of people that are coming out on top are the people that are very responsive to it. Is one, being educated on the topic, so you understanding what's going on, and two, getting involved into that instance, and three, putting it back into your craft that you're doing. Is that I think a lot of businesses, and I made a video on it before, is that your viewpoint and your opinion matter. A lot of brands, whether you sell skincare, if you have like say for instance for you make music, they think that that's not necessarily relevant to mention, or that's not really something that's affecting it. And I'm having a difficult time with a lot of the people I'm seeing what I'm ingesting in that information. So to see somebody that's really active in everything that's going on and educated about it, it's really awesome, because it doesn't really matter that there are going to be people that have mixed opinions on what's going on, and there's people that don't support it. But standing true to that is really incredible, because you're not afraid to really be that true self, and a positive true self, because some people's true self is not supporting everything that's going on. So
Yeah, like this past Friday, I was supposed to drop a video with this rapper from Chicago, Damn Killer. We shot a video a while ago. It's been a long time, like in production. We finally got the final cut. I was gonna drop it this Friday, but then I texted him like the day of. I was like, "Yo, it doesn't really seem like this is the right time to drop some shit." And he was like, "Yeah, like let's just hold off." He's been working on a project that he has coming out that was supposed to be this Friday. He just announced yesterday like that he's not dropping that, and it's just like nobody feels like talking about that shit right now. And it's like ultimately I do think it would lead to me like having inspiration like down the line in music when I reflect back on this time, but right now I don't even feel like making music. I feel like going outside and you know doing what I gotta do, and I feel like spreading information and spreading, like you said, the education about, like, if you don't know what you're protesting, like it can like hurt the cause, you know, because if you like try to explain to people like how you feel, even if your heart's in the right place, but you don't know what you're talking about, people are gonna look at you like, oh, this is like you're representing the movement at that point. So yeah, just taking time to try to share content on the internet to help educate people on why we're protesting the capitalist system and like the state-sanctioned violence, and I'm trying to educate myself even more.
yep.
You know,
um,
that's like where my energy is right now.
what is
Less
your
on promoting shit.
what's your push to pivot, right? So when I say that, I'm thinking of the perspective of, you're in that position where you mentioned that you're tired, but you're not tired out, and you're educating people so that they can get to the position that you are. But you want to get to that level where you're just still making music, still feeling inspired, still doing everything. What's going to be the turning point when you feel like, okay, it's all right to release music? All right, it's okay to get back in the loop again. What to you would make you happy with how you can evolve and just do what you've been back on schedule with?
I'm probably going to get back in the booth and start making beats this week again, just off some like I need the escape like at some point, like just like for myself. And also I'm like I got like deadlines to meet like with like the engineers and shit to get them the tracks in. Um, as far as like posting it, promoting it, asking people to put your energy towards my music or share my music, like it's I'm following the lead of like the community, you know. Like whenever it seems like we're at that point, then I'll follow their lead. It's not really for me to say when it's going to be time. I really don't know though, because this right now feels different than it felt the last time. So I don't know where it's going to go.
And it's interesting you said that too, right? Like, because that goes beyond protests, beyond fighting for rights. It's really a sense of climate. You're looking at the pandemic was already one thing where people are dying, people are losing their jobs, everything that's going on. And then you drop a mixtape and it can do well because you'll have music that people will enjoy and they'll always like, but at the same time, like weighing out the balances and the differences of what actually feels right and what actually is right for the time. I think that's
Yeah,
super important and that's commendable. Um,
yeah, that's right.
yeah, it's definitely something different. We've never experienced anything on that. But another thing I think of is that it just keeps adding to the snowball. You see pandemic, you see riots, you see protests, you see everything that's just adding up that it's going to lead to something different. It's going to lead to something different that we haven't seen before. And that ambiguity is like that risk that gives me hope, right? Like some of my favorite artists, it's like you're coming out with some new music, you're about to come out with some heat. I'm about to sit there and be like, yeah, he really did that. And on
Yeah,
top of that, everybody relates to it. It's been in that position where everybody feels like these sense of adversity. It's not really like you're going through it by yourself. So that is
yeah, no. I'm sure there will be a moment when it's appropriate to share the music, and the music is fire. So it's definitely better than anything I've done before. I'm excited for you to hear it. I can let you hear some of it. I'll send you the link after we get off the call. But yeah, I'm excited about releasing it, but it just has to be done right in an appropriate way.
that's awesome.
Um, but yeah, man, it just feels like it was a quarantine. Now it's this, and it's always this, but now it's like it's this, and then it feels like in this next 2 weeks we're gonna see that whatever spike from the whole country protesting, the coronavirus is gonna spike back up crazy. So I don't know. Then we like tumbling towards election day. So it's gonna be an interesting rest of the year. 2020 is not done yet, unfortunately.
2020 is not how anybody planned it. It's one of those things, and it's a new decade. Everything that's going on, I
Bruh,
I never would have thought.
yeah, this shit is not cool.
So, what do you think? Just do you have any type of advice to people that are going through it? It's like it's such a it's such an interesting time, and a lot of people see it negatively. But a lot of the stuff that you're educating people on, a lot of stuff that you're doing, do you have anything that you want to say to people, just kind of to give them perspective or to keep going with their music? Because I'm sure that transcribes beyond just like releasing songs or anything like that. There's more to it, so I can apply it to a t-shirt business, whereas other people will find it applicable. So just wanted to get your lens on that.
um, if you're black, just make sure you find time to escape all this shit. Like none of us are capable of just fighting 24/7. I don't think it needs to necessarily be outward, but just privately take time to yourself to do something that is going to be therapeutic for you, relaxing for you, and just get your mind off this shit. Like, even though like it's crazy as how like just like human nature, human health, like it's good for you to just relax, like take a break, and then you'll be better when you get back to it. So
Exactly.
that's my advice.
Um, so you mentioned you have a new debut project coming out too. Let's talk more about your ultimate brand. What can we look forward to in the future? How can we find you, and how can we support you?
All right, so I'm finishing up sending the tracks to the engineer over the next couple weeks. I think we're targeting like a mid-July release. My rap name is Judy. You can find me on Apple Music, any streaming platform. Single off the project right now, it's called Sleepwalk, is already out. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, @JewIsJudy. I don't know if you can like flash that on the screen or whatever.
Yeah, I got you.
And then yeah, my producer name is Wing Ho, or my alter, what they call it?
the alias or your alter ego?
I got my alter ego is Wing Ho. So yeah, anything with Wing Ho or Judy on it, you know that's me. Um, that music video will drop eventually. Probably some more videos, and then the album in July. So
What's your
you'll hear from me
ultimate
soon.
takeaway that people should have when they're listening to your music, right? If for example, what emotions do you want people to feel when they hear your stuff, and what should they expect when they turn it on?
Like I want people to feel the way I felt when I first heard like the Barter Six, or like when I first heard the College Dropout. Like I want people to have that same level of like fucking goosebumps and shit. Like make you really love the music. I want to just give people like that release, like that instant release and like joy. Um, yeah, and for me, it's all about like how I want to make people feel when they listen to my music. I don't really think much about past that, how change their thoughts, but just if I can give them the same feeling I have when I listen to some fire ass music, that's what I would like to do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, are there any other closing remarks or anything that you have that you want to tell people? Just kind of to close things out, I think that this has been super helpful. I think this is super awesome, and I want to listen to that. I want to listen to all your projects again, and
Yeah.
then the upcoming project that you have too. But do you have any other closing remarks or anything that you want to just get off your chest?
Um, yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to continue the conversation and reach out to me, feel free to DM me on anything. Pretty nice guy. I'll probably respond. So just let me know.
There you go. Well, thank you, Jew.
All right, man.
Jew is Judy. There you go.
Thanks for
Keep
having me.
going and keep thriving, and make sure you take time to rest. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. And I will put the information down below. Thank
All
you.
right, brother. I'm gonna talk to you.